So with that, welcome back to day number 4 this week for lives, I believe. And now I'm itchy. Oh my goodness. Day 4 for this week of lives for Reclaiming Power with Rachelle. And we're going to be talking today about holding space and giving grace. You know, perfect timing, especially because yesterday was about forgiveness. It was Forgiveness Friday, as I like to call that. But every day ought to be a day of offering forgiveness, especially with yourself and for yourself, so that you can be clearing out the things that are weighing you down and keeping you apart from your power. Stop holding on to things. Instead, hold space. Don't hold on to things that don't serve you, that weigh you down and bring you down. Instead, hold space for yourself and give yourself grace as you continue to make your way through and navigate this self-love empowerment journey, reclaiming your power through learning to love that which is yourself. And you have to be willing to hold space and give yourself grace on this journey for that. So, as I love to do, get my mind right here with a little sipperoo of my delicious, very hot, yowzers, fresh cup of honey sweetened tea. Thank you. Oh my God, I love that. It's like my favorite summer tea. It's a green tea, and then I put wild orange essential oil drops on the tea bag, so that then while it's steeping, it's like becomes this delectable orange green tea flavor that when I put my mesquite honey in there, it's just like, it's absolutely divine. Which, as we've talked this week about good vibe givers, that's a good vibe giver for me. That is the thing that I can sit and sip and kind of ground myself, which is maybe something you want to do in this space of holding space for yourself, is really grounding into the present moment so that you can actually be present for and with yourself, right? And as long as we can truly be present with and for ourselves, it's that much more natural, or shall we say easier, to hold space and be present for someone else. So let's get to defining and clarifying what these things actually mean, so we can be sure that we are in full alignment and grounding into what they actually mean, so that we can have a true understanding and overstanding of what's going on. Because as we're on this healing journey, right, things get crazy. Things get chaotic. Things get in intense, crazy states of upheaval, right? And they can topple you and make you stumble and fall. But it's up to you to be loving yourself through that and holding space for you. So what is it to hold space? What does it mean to hold space? It means to be present with someone and allow them, I have my notes here, of course, and allow them to share their thoughts, their emotions, their feelings, their experiences in a safe, non-judgmental environment. Meaning, if you're holding space for yourself, you're observing from a non-judgmental state of being. You are allowing for the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions to process through you as you observe them, holding no judgment, no criticism. You're just observing so that you can have an understanding of what's going on, an understanding even still. And again, we're going to talk about understanding, understanding, and overstanding, and the clarity between those three words, because we really don't want to stand under anything. We want to comprehend inside and from a whole Pegasus perspective for ourselves. So the Pegasus perspective, by the way, for those who may not know exactly what I mean around here, because this is my baby love, my little Pegasus here, is that a Pegasus, just hello, by example, is both on the ground, but can also take flight and have a much broader, more overarching perspective of the circumstance and situation. And that's exactly what we want to do from this space of holding space for ourselves or for others. Is we want to just kind of be detached. Ultimately, you want to take the step back and have a much broader allowance of them to, or you, to be expressed, to be fully expressed in that space with no judgment, no criticism, no fear of, being rejected in any way, shape, or form, right? Holding space is about creating a sense of safety. It's and trust and inner standing, right? Compassion, to allow individuals to fully express themselves and work through challenges without fear of rejection or criticism. That's exactly what I've said, right? We need to be in a practice of, as I've said, holding space first and foremost for ourselves as we heal, as we process things, as we be really honest with ourselves about what's going on in our lives and what is working and what isn't working, and be willing to make the changes that you need to make to create what you want to be creating. But that, again, requires this holding space as you look at what isn't working, and again, be very brutally honest with yourself so that you can finally step into full alignment with what is for you in this world, in this life. Okay? So, when holding space, you want to be offering of empathy. You want to, of course, listen actively. You want to be attentive. You want to be tuned in. You don't want to be up in your mind thinking about, oh, I'm going to respond with this. I'm going to tell him this. You don't want to be in your head. You want to be there truly hearing what that other person is expressing to you. Because all they're needing, and that's what holding space is, all that individual is needing, and maybe that individual is you, for you, is support. Is a safe space wherein you can get out of you what you need to get out of you, so that you can process through what you need to process through. That's what holding space is all about. Okay? So you definitely want to be fully present in that space with whether it's you or someone else that you're holding space for. Okay? And again, non-judgmental. You want to be as physically present as possible, but perchance in this day and age, thankfully, we've had phones for a long time. Thank you, Alexander Graham Bell. And we have video now. So if you're not able to physically be with someone, you can still fully energetically be present with someone in this day and age. So if you are someone who is called to hold space for someone that isn't actually in your physical presence, you can still do that. You can still do that on the phone. Maybe you just need to be there to hold space as they vent, as they, again, get out what they need to get out. And the same with a video call, right? And then you can actually see each other, so you can do that too. And that is definitely something I do in my coaching, is you better believe right off the bat in our calls, I hold space for you so that you can get out what you need to get out. And maybe you've not had someone to hear you before. You've not had someone to actually listen. I'm here. Okay? I get to do that. Because otherwise, how else can we look for, find, and reclaim your power if you don't allow yourself to observe and see what you need to see? You're not going to be able to reveal what needs to be revealed so you can heal what you need to heal. Right? So, and another facet of holding space is being emotionally available. You know, not just that physical presence, but to really, truly, again, kind of have yours in check, and you're just letting, again, them get out what they need to get out, process what they need to process. This isn't about you. It's about them. Okay? And maybe, again, as you're holding space for yourself, I'm really working on being very mindful about saying again all the time. I'm going to have to make me a little penny jar about that. Maybe you are holding space for yourself. The same thing is applicable. You need to be present with yourself. You need to be allowing with yourself to be where you are emotionally, mentally, energetically. And that needs to be okay. It needs to be okay to be where you are. For you to truly hold that space for you. Because are we not like really our own, we are really our own worst enemies, right? We self-criticize, we self-judge, and when we are super critical of ourselves, oh, you better believe you're going to be super critical of others. And that doesn't bode well for relationships, that's for sure. It does not do well in that realm of things. So, if you are not able to hold that space truly for yourself, it's going to be very challenging to truly hold that space for others. Because as you are sitting there listening to them, you're actually going to be looking for ways to fix it, to problem solve it for them. That's not what holding space is about. That's not what holding space is about. Now, again, like in my sessions, in our coaching sessions, obviously you've come to me for not just the holding space, but yes, to seek guidance and directionality for what to do, for resources, tools to move along in your journey. But when you are genuinely in a space of holding space for yourself or someone else, it's not for you to be fixing the problem. Rather, it's for you to just be allowing the problem to be fully revealed. And then guess what? When you can see what you've needed to see, that also puts you in this state of greater flow, which in turn allows the universe to step in finally on your behalf and do the things that you've been not allowing that flow to happen because you've been not holding that space for yourself. You've been closing yourself off and being judgmental, being self-critical, and not, again, having compassion with yourself, not allowing yourself to process what needs processing. And so what happens is you end up staying stuck in a lot of that. You get stuck in the mud, so to speak. So that's when you got to give yourself some grace. As you're holding space, you have to give yourself grace. And so grace is the other part of the topic we are talking about today. And outside of, again, looking, because I like to look and see what's out there. That's obviously all my different notes, all the different perspectives and things that I find. And with regards to the spiritual awakening journey and reclaiming power journey, I have purposely selected the definitions that are within that context. And so what I found, of course, the word grace is rooted very deeply in religious aspects, okay? And we're not talking about religion here. We're talking about spirituality. We're talking about your own inner self, your own soul, right? And about giving that grace to you and you being the grace giver, okay? So what is it to give grace? First of all, what is grace? Grace, without it being strictly in the context of religion, grace is a noun, of course, it's a thing. But grace, in its most fundamental terms, is help or strength given. So yes, when you're having that space of holding space, and you're processing all of these things, and things come up, and you maybe get stuck emotionally, or you start to fall into that slippery slope of judging yourself or the other person, but we're really mostly pointing this at ourselves, right? Because this is a self-love empowerment journey. Nobody else can do for you what you need to be doing for you. So when you're in that space of holding space and you're processing things, you're doing your inner child work, you're processing through this whole dark night of the soul and this shadow work, you're going to find that there's going to be moments where you're going to have to offer your own self strength and support and help to be there for yourself. So, what it means to give grace, it is akin to holding space. I wrote that. I know this for a fact. And it means to show compassion or kindness, to offer forgiveness, time, and understanding, and permission to change. Like you're allowing yourself to change from being who you were to being who you've come to be, who you truly are. You don't have to stay the same. If who you've been isn't working for you, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean anything bad. It simply means that you have some habits, some sabotages, some patterns that are not serving you. And you have to be willing to see that, which means, again, have this container of holding space for yourself and be ready and willing to give yourself grace, to have that compassion, to give yourself the permission to change that perspective, that story, that belief, to release that pain, to transmute it, to heal it. Hold on, my mics are really stuck in there, right? I love this quote that I found, and I couldn't quite track down where it came from, but grace changes us, not excuses us. It's kind of like that forgiveness thing where it doesn't mean you forget that it happened in the respect that you allow it to happen again. It means that I acknowledge that this happened and it didn't produce a positive result. It did not make me to feel good. It did not create the outcome that I wanted. In fact, it made me to feel bad. But instead of continuing to feel bad about that or making you to feel bad about that having happened, you have to be the one to be willing to offer that forgiveness, to release the resentment, to have this compassion for yourself, to acknowledge and give yourself permission to change, to say, I am no longer going to carry this resentment, this anger for what happened in the past that I cannot change, whether I did it or someone else did it. But ultimately, it is up to me to let go of this and to give myself the permission to change from being someone who says, that's why I am the way I am. That's why I have every right to be this way and be all angry and angsty and resentful. Or rather, we can say, oh, wow, okay, I've clearly given my power away in this circumstance. And I have to acknowledge that for myself, that I did that. So that means I need to hold this space, be ready to give grace, offer forgiveness to myself, to others, to whatever, so that I can finally, once and for all, let this go. So I can truly grow and become who I've come to become. You don't need to keep dragging along, I should say, because we don't carry it, but dragging along this little red wagon of bullshit from your past. You don't. You can set yourself free. And you can create whatever you've come to create for yourself. You can heal what needs healing. You can release what you need to release. All that power is already in you, in your hands. It's just going to require such things as holding space, giving grace, offering forgiveness, giving yourself again that permission to let it go. It's like that quote that keeps coming up, and I didn't look it up after yesterday's live for the forgiveness one, but about the rat and the poison. You know, it's like you eating the poison expecting the other person to change. How does it serve you? It doesn't. In fact, that's what it is to be crystal clear and honest with yourself, is to say, this isn't serving me, this is actually hurting me. And so I need to go within and hold this space for myself and release this for myself so that I am not the one that's being detrimental to myself anymore. Because again, what's coming to mind is that hurt people quote. Because if you are carrying all this hurt and anger inside you, and you haven't taken that time and held that space and given yourself that grace and offered that forgiveness and released all of this, you're going to take that out into the world and you're going to project it. And there is so much projection right now in this world, especially in this country. It is astronomical. And we're going to talk about projecting here in an upcoming projecting. Oh, mercy. Next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we talk about projection and projecting and what that means, what that looks like. But it's about taking that self-responsibility and saying, oh my gosh, I have to heal me, or else I'm going to take this venom out into the world and spew it around. The power, it is in you and in your hands. Nobody else can do for you what you need to do for you. Okay? I got to see here. Someone commented, I love it. Yes, true. Amen. Yes, Lottie. Love that. Love that. All right. So with that, be sure you go and you do the forgiveness practice. All right? Give yourself that freedom. Hold that space for you to let go of the things that are not serving you. Give yourself grace for the things that you played a role in on that list that you would maybe be beating yourself up about. Does beating yourself up change it? Does it help you become better? Or does it actually cause you to feel worse? So with that, let's ask, in this space of holding space and giving grace, we're going to ask where our power of surrender is. But before I do, I have someone that I would like to introduce you to. That is something that when I began my spiritual awakening journey and this whole inner healing and all the dark nights of the soul, and again, the inner child work especially, wow. I learned years ago, and I encourage this, and I have with clients, and it's been just a phenomenal result with this, and even I see it definitely in me through the years, is I actually, and I've had him for a long time. This is my little popple. Oh, I'm covering up my mic, but this is my little popple from when I was a little girl, when I was little. And yep, I still got her. But she has helped with a lot of my inner child healing. When you just need to, again, hold space for yourself to process things. Remember as children, I know for me, I always had my baby. I always had my babies. That's why I now have my little, this Baby Love, that's her name, Baby Love, my little Pegasus baby. But I have sobbed into my popples so much on this self-healing journey. When I first started it, I did it so much. Now she just kind of hangs out. She's on standby most of the time nowadays. Like she hasn't needed to soothe and console my inner child and hold space for, I'm not even sure how long it's been now. It's been probably a year at least, maybe, but don't quote me on it. But this is what I'm saying. This is what it is to hold space for yourself, is to give yourself the support that you need, be it a childhood stuffed animal that you had to cry into, to process those emotions that you didn't quite process as a child. That's what it is to hold that space for you, goddess, is to allow yourself to process whatever emotions come through for you. And let me tell you, this little baby, she done good. She done good. So, with that, let us ask, in this space of, well, holding space and giving grace, where is our power of surrender at this time? Did y'all see that? That one jumped out the deck, said me. Well, looky here. Surrender to creativity. Because you see, when, and this is coming as a space of kind of like after you've purged and you've released a lot of these emotions and you're kind of in that spent space of like, now what kind of thing, right? Like, okay, now I've cleared all of this out of me. Now I have this space inside me. What am I supposed to do? Because you have to fill that or it will fill itself. And so what can you do? I'm going to let y'all in a secret. I have coloring books and crayons too. Yes, I do. Because it's so therapeutic. I just had a wonderful time coloring in a coloring book with my little 7-year-old buddy, one of my best friend's sons that I've helped to raise, basically, since I knew his mom before he was even around. And we spent an hour just coloring in coloring books. And it was so therapeutic. Because you see, you've got to just allow now for things to flow. And being in a state of creativity is being in a state of flow. And if you don't consider yourself to be creative, again, get a coloring book and crayons. Just color something. You know, I have multiple copies of some Pegasus pictures that I can color over and over and over again. Because, yeah, I like a Pegasus or two, you know. So that's what you want to do. As you've been holding this space for yourself and processing through it all and releasing what needs releasing, giving yourself that grace, now you're just going to let yourself come full circle and reconnect with that deeper part of you and actually allow for things to flow out of you in a state of creativity. The card itself says, let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. Because when you're in a state of flow, that answer that's already inside of you, you already know. You already know the answer, goddess. This flow, this state of flow allows for that answer to flow into and through you. The power of creativity, combined with the powers of holding space and giving grace. And I guarantee you, goddess, while I'm not one to tell you this journey is easy, I will tell you it can be more easeful. All right? It can flow with a bit more ease when you cultivate that for yourself. And so again, by holding space, allowing yourself to process through these things and giving yourself grace as you do said processing, then you get through that and you're still in that holding space, you now want to kind of soothe that through, again, a form of therapy, creativity, creative therapy, you know, cut and glue something. It's okay. Paint something, but allow for this flow to return within you as you, again, have finally broken through the blockage that had been clogging your pipes, so to speak, and keeping you stuck where you've been. It's all this beautiful perpetual going and growing journey that we're on. The self-love empowerment journey of learning to look for, find, and reclaim your power by learning to love the totality of that which is yourself. And that's what I'm about. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here for you. That's why I, again, am stepping so fully, leaning fully into this incredible vision that was given me to do this Reclaiming Power with Rachelle series and show up for you. So if what I'm saying is resonating with you and you are seeking someone to not just hold space for you, but truly offer you guidance and support in which direction to go for where your power is to be found and reclaimed, I'm here for you. You can book a session at iamempowered.as.me. You can also find other empowerment tools and ways of support with me at empowermentexperiences.com, whether it's self-love empowerment, twin flame empowerment, even entrepreneurial empowerment. I'm expanding more and more. I'm super excited about some awesome little download kits and things that I'm making. Oh, I'm excited about those. So there's so many things to come. There's so much for you. And I am here for you, and you deserve the life that you desire. Okay? So with that, Goddess, I am going to sign off, and I will see you back here next Tuesday for Twin Flame Tuesday, and we'll dive into and break all of that down, because we're actually going to get into my Twin Flame confirmation checklist that we actually break down all the myths in it, the myths, the untruths, the ego attachment space of that. So you definitely want to be around for that. With that, I remind you, as I am here to do in this world, the power to hold space, the power to give grace, the power to move forward, the power to create the life that you desire and deserve. That power is in your hands, Goddess, because that power has always, always been inside you. Namaste.